Hello and welcome to an all-new adult erotica in comics. You're watching SVOD82. I am your comic friend Scott. You can call me Scotty. Call me whatever you like. Just please hit that like button on the way in and I would be grateful. Today's video, we're going to be talking about two American cartoonists, Larry Wells and Dan DeCarlo. And did they copy each other? It's going to be a little food for thought, so stick around. Now what we're basically going to do is we're going to talk about two different creators. One being Larry Wells and his creation Cherry Pop-Tart. We're also going to talk about Dan DeCarlo and his creation Cheryl Blossom. Are the two imitating each other? There's several cases where I felt like the creators were possibly borrowing from each other, but it's very interesting. Let's go ahead and get into it. Now we'll start with Larry Wells. Larry Wells is an American cartoonist. He was part of the whole late 60s underground comics movement. His famous creation, Cherry, or Cherry Pop-Tart, was created in 1971. She made her first appearance in Funny Book issue 1, an underground comic. Cherry is a character often involved in sexual escapades and very closely mimics the style of a series that another cartoonist was doing since the late 50s with another series titled Archie Comics. Now, the other cartoonist I mentioned being Dan DeCarlo, another famous American cartoonist, probably best known for developing the Archie look that Archie Comics was known for. Like Larry Wells, Dan also had a past of doing adult or erotic material. He has done all kinds of good girl or cheesecake artwork in gentlemen's magazines such as Laugh Riot. He has also done a somewhat adult version of Josie and the Pussycats in Penthouse Comics in the 90s, which is Josie and the Pussycats being a property that Dan DeCarlo is famous for being the creator of, as well as Archie and Sabrina the Teenage Witch. In 1982, Larry Wells releases Cherry Pop-Tart with full Archie parodies and even a back page comic story of Erotica by Larry Todd. Now later that same year, Dan DeCarlo introduced Cheryl Blossom, a new Archie character that pushes the limits of what the characters usually do in the comic. She shows up in Betty and Veronica issue 320, and they are wearing one-piece bathing suits in this book at the time. Cheryl shows up in a two-piece bikini. It includes teen drinking, and they even get caught skinny dipping by the Beach Patrol. Not your typical Archie comic book. Remember me mentioning Erotica a minute ago, appearing on the back cover of Cherry Pop-Tart issue 1? Well, in 2018, Archie Comics would release a series on their horror imprint, Archie Horror, titled Erotica. Coincidence? I think not. Did Larry Wells borrow from Dan DeCarlo's style for Cherry Pop-Tart? I think that he did a little bit. Now, did Dan DeCarlo borrow from Larry Wells for Cheryl Blossom? That's something I want to talk about. Dan DeCarlo, unfortunately, is no longer with us. And the writer of the original series, unfortunately, is no longer with us as well. But Comic Book Resources recently asked editor Victor Gorlick what he thought about the situation. And what he said was a no. He gave them a straight up no, that he did not, that they were not borrowing from Cherry Pop-Tart, that it was purely coincidence. He said he can't speak for both the writer and the artist, but that he can say that he did not feel like that they were borrowing from them. But my argument for this is, even if they did, what if they did? Are they gonna say yes? I don't think so, because by doing so, that opens them up to all sorts of legal ramifications. So I think that they're gonna say no regardless. I think that maybe it was a situation where we had creators borrowing from each other back and forth, much like DC Comics and Marvel Comics. You often see, over time, you've seen DC borrow ideas from Marvel, you've seen Marvel borrow from DC, and I think this is cartoonists borrowing from cartoonists. Just an opinion. What do you think? You guys let me know in the comments. I'm super curious to hear what you guys have to think about the situation. Let me know in the comments your thoughts this week. I really appreciate you guys catching this week's video on Cherry Pop-Tart and Cheryl Blossom and these two amazing American cartoonists. I hope that you guys will stick around. Next week, I'll be dropping a new adult erotica in comics video at Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I will drop a new one every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So stay with me, fellas. And ladies, and I hope that you guys have a fantastic week. Peace.